So the Mongols did try to invade Japan twice, actually. Both times, Japanese samurais faced the invaders. So they first tried in 1274 and 1278. A guy named Kublai Khan, who was Genghis Khan's grandson, actually was the one in charge of these invasions. All right, so they faced these invaders, but what happened was they'd get to the land. They were tipped off before, right? So they're meeting at the beach, they're having these wars, but eventually what happens is two different typhoons, one in 1274 and one in 1278. Everybody know what a typhoon is? Typhoon is like a type of storm, right? That's common in that area. Comes through, completely destroys those ships. So if we go back to this image here, what did you see here? Yeah, the boat's being destroyed. So that's them showing the impact of the typhoon on the Mongols. So too far. So these typhoons helped stop the Mongol forces. Japanese later called these storms kamikaze or divine wind. You guys might have heard the word kamikaze used before in World War II, referring to Japanese suicide pilots who would crash themselves into ships in order to create big defeats for the enemy. And so this is a reference to words that they were actually using back in the 13th century. All right, and then we have the Ashikaga. So shortly after the Mongol invasions, they're both kicked out. The Khans failed to conquer Japan because of these typhoons, and unfortunately, Japan doesn't maintain peace and control of the islands of Japan for very long, because the Kamakura shogunate, led by the Minamoto, was defeated by a military general named Ashikaga. This is Ashikaga here, and the Ashikaga shogunate turned out to be very weak. They were weak sauce. They couldn't hold control over Japan, so Japan ended up being divided into small territories ran by the rich military nobles called daimyo. And the daimyo were responsible for following the emperor's orders, and as a result of this, the shogun and feudalism in Japan began, because that was the most effective way to rule over the land in Japan now that the power structure had been shaken up. Does that make sense?
Now, kiddos, once again, he's not even a teacher yet, and he's out here crushing it, left, right, center. So give him a huge round of applause. And what we all need several different things. Number one, you all need something, right? Number two, you need a highlight. Number three, this particular, can you do me a favor and click number 2 on that? And number 4, Mr. McKay and I are going to come around. We're going to give you 2 pieces of paper. Number 1, he's going to give you this white piece of paper. Number 2, I'm going to give you this blue piece of paper. But in the meantime, take out all of those things, a highlighter, something to write with, and we'll get blah, blah, blah. What's that? You need a highlighter? Well, I would just